They said Midnight Crossing was haunted, that if you stood outside at night, you'd hear whispers calling your name. I never believed in ghosts. But then I met her, Evelyn Vega, draped in black lace, lips trembling with secrets, eyes daring me to listen. And when the whispers came for me, I realized the deadliest haunt in this town wasn't the desert. It was her. I rode into Midnight Crossing at dusk, when the sky turned iron and the wind lost its warmth. The sign at the edge of town leaned crooked, the paint flaking like it wanted to forget its own name. 10 buildings, a church with a cracked bell, a lonely telegraph pole. Enough to look like a place, not enough to feel like one. I wasn't planning to stay. Then I saw her. She stood on the porch of a boarding house across from the livery, black lace falling to her ankles, a strip of pale wrist showing where a glove didn't reach. Her face was still, but her eyes weren't. They flicked to the horizon, then back to the street, like she was waiting for a storm with a human name. A breeze caught her veil. For a moment, she looked like the only thing in town still alive. "Evening," I said, tugging my hat. "Place to put a horse and a tired man?" She studied me the way you study a locked door, searching for the trick. "Stable's 2 doors down. Room, if you pay in advance." Her voice was lower than I expected. It carried like cool water. "Name's Daniel Kane," I said. "I don't cause trouble." "No one means to," she said. "They just bring it with them." The livery took my gelding without small talk. When I came back out, twilight had smoked the sky. She still stood there, still watching the street, as if something might peel up from it like old varnish. I stepped onto the boarding house porch. "Evelyn Vega," she said before I could ask. "You were going to." "I was," I admitted. "Is Miss Vega the owner?" "Caretaker," she said, then added, "until the night ends." "What happens then?" "The night starts again," she said. "Different name, same teeth." There was a bell on the counter. She didn't ring it. The room smelled faintly of soap and something floral I couldn't name. She took a key from a drawer and set it on the ledger. "You'll hear things," she said. "Windows complain. Pipes rattle. If you hear your name, ignore it." "I don't plan on being popular," I said. "That's how it starts. Down the street, a piano somewhere. Tried and failed to be merry." I signed the ledger with a hand that remembered steadier days. She slid the key across the wood. "Welcome to Midnight Crossing, Mr. Kane," she said. "If you need water, ask. If you need to pray, the church is unlocked." "What about whiskey?" "Saloon's called the bitter hour," she said. "In this town, it's honest." The bitter hour had 3 card tables, 2 lamps, and 1 barkeep who looked like a man who'd lost his last argument with the sun. I took a corner stool. My back found a wall. Voices left me alone. A man in a canvas coat leaned too close and decided not to speak. That's the kind of miracle whiskey performs in the right hands. "New face," the barkeep said after a while. "You passing through or passing judgment?" "Neither," I said. "What's the story with the lady at the boarding house?" He wiped his hands on a cloth that had given up long ago. "Evelyn Vega's the story, friend. Widowed twice if you count the man she didn't marry. Folks say a woman like that can't keep a name alive. Folks say a lot when they don't know anything," I said. He nodded, not agreeing, not disagreeing. "If you hear whispers tonight, don't answer." "Everyone keeps saying that," I said. "What do they say?" He stared at the bottom of a glass. "They say your name, like your mother saying it across a room you can't see. Or a grave. They say things you thought you'd buried." "I keep my dead to themselves," I said. He looked at me like a doctor looks at a man who swears he's healthy while bleeding from the sleeve. "Nobody does. Not here. The saloon doors breathed out a man in a black frock coat and a hat too clean for the road. He crossed to me, smile like a pocket knife. "Evening," he said. "I'm Mr. Lyle. I oversee interests here on behalf of people who have them." "Congratulations," I said. "I'm fresh out." He didn't sit. "Sometimes men drift in because they're looking for work. Other times because they're looking for something they can pretend is work. If the second, they find Miss Vega." "Then what?" I asked. "They start hearing things," he said. "Then they leave. Since you look like the kind who doesn't scare easy, I thought I'd help. Leave now. Keep your ears and your neck." "Neck?" I said. "Good evening," he said, tipping his hat to nothing and no one, and was gone out the way he came, like a thought you don't want to admit you had. I finished the whiskey like it was medicine. The night outside had cooled into something like decision. I crossed back to the boarding house. Evelyn was locking the front door. "You don't strike me as a woman who scares men," I said. "I don't try to," she said. "It just happens." "You hear them?" I asked. "The whispers." She held my gaze a beat too long. "Don't listen," she said softly. "Not tonight." "Why not tonight?" I asked. "Because tonight, they're not for me." I didn't sleep. I sat on the narrow bed and listened to the house list in the wind. Floorboards shifting like a body, remembering how it used to move. A clock downstairs counted the parts of the dark that felt longer. At some point after midnight, the room went wrong. Not cold, just wrong. Like a note played a hair off pitch. Then I heard it. "Who's there?" I asked. Not loud, not near. Just the shape of my name said slowly, by a mouth that didn't want anyone else to hear it. I stood. The window looked over the back lot, a slice of sand and a fence missing 2 rails. Nothing moved. The voice came again, closer, and not through the window. Through the wood, through the words none of this should have. "Daniel." I stepped into the hallway. The house listened with me. There were 3 doors, all closed. The stairs leaned down into a narrow dark. From below, my name again, like a child's prayer. Silence. Then, "Come and see." "Daniel," said the night. I stepped onto the porch. Nothing. The street was a line drawn in charcoal. The church bell was a black tooth against the sky. I crossed the boards and stood on the top step. "Daniel came," the voice said, very soft. And now I knew it wasn't the wind. It had choice in it. The lantern blinked again, deeper in, near the dry wash where the ground broke open in a tired wound. I followed. At the lip of the wash, the light steadied. It hung from a low branch, no hand near it, swaying a little in a breeze that didn't reach my skin. In the sand beneath, someone had drawn a circle with a line through it. The kind of sign boys make when they're playing at being men. "Old trick," I said, though my mouth had gone dry. A whisper at my ear that didn't lift the hairs on my neck, so much as tie them in knots. "Leave her, Daniel." I turned fast. No one. The lantern didn't move. The cottonwoods didn't move. Somewhere far off, a coyote remembered what it means to be lonely. "She yours?" I said to the dark. "Or you just hate anything that isn't?" The whisper again, closer the way a blade is closer than a threat. "Leave her or hang with her. I don't scare easy. That's a lie men like me tell." I stepped back to the edge of the wash. The sand shifted under my heel. Somewhere in the dark, a rope creaked, as if it had found something to learn from. I stared until my eyes hurt. I waited for a man to step out with a smirk and a joke and a gun he thought he could use. No one did. Then the lantern died. The dark didn't thicken. It focused. I felt something brush the back of my neck, cold and patient. A voice I hadn't heard in years spoke my name the way he used to, before he bled out in my arms. "Danny," it said. "Don't make me bury you too." Evelyn stood at the fence line, veil down, hands at her sides. She looked like a secret that had decided to become a person. Now you've heard them, she said. Do you believe me? I believe someone wants me gone, I said. Her eyes flicked to the wash. Then you should listen. And if I don't? She lifted her veil. Her face wasn't frightened. It wasn't strong. It was both in a way that made every other word lie. If you don't, she said, they'll tell you why you should have. From the dark below the wash, something moved. Not big, not small, just wrong. I reached for my gun. The thing I couldn't see said my name again, this time with laughter in it. Daniel Kane, it whispered. Tomorrow the town will learn you too. Morning and midnight crossing didn't look much different from night. The sun was there, but it seemed reluctant, dragging itself over the horizon like it didn't want to see what had happened while it was gone. The streets were empty except for a drunk curled in the doorway of the bitter hour and two dogs arguing over a bone too dry to matter. I walked back from the wash with dust on my boots and no answers worth the blister. Evelyn waited on the boarding house porch, veil down, as if she'd been carved there overnight. You stayed, she said. Didn't see a reason to leave, I answered. Then you will, she said. Soon enough. Inside, coffee boiled weak and mean. The few men at the tables drank it like penance. They stared at me, then at Evelyn, then back at me. One spat in the tin bucket by his chair. What's the story this morning? I asked. Evelyn didn't meet my eyes. They say the whispers followed you, that you brought them louder. Didn't know I was that popular. It's not popularity, she said. It's ownership. They think the town belongs to the dead, or to whoever pretends to be. The barkeep leaned close as I passed. Mr. Kane, word of advice. Don't go poking at things that sound like your name. Folk here don't forgive easy. I'm not looking for forgiveness, I said. He studied me with eyes older than his skin. Then look for a grave, easier to find. I stepped out into the street. The sky was the color of paper that had been folded too many times. Mr. Lyle waited there, same black coat, same polished boots, same smile sharp as barbed wire. You walked where you shouldn't, he said. The wash isn't for strangers. Funny, I said. The whispers didn't ask my travel papers. They asked your name, he said. That's enough. Names bind things, haven't you heard? Names don't kill men, I said. No, Lyle answered. But men who answer do. He stepped closer, cane clicking against the boards. Leave Miss Vega alone. She's a story. No one survives. You seem awful interested in what happens to her, I said. His smile flickered, then settled back. I'm interested in order. And order means knowing which secrets to keep buried. He tapped his cane once and walked away. The crowd that had gathered pretended to find their shoes fascinating until he passed. By noon, the saloon was louder. Men talked fast and drank faster, like they were racing the daylight. The whispers had become currency, traded over whiskey and spit. They said his name, one swore, clear as if he'd signed it. They'll come for all of us next, another muttered. When I walked in, the room tightened. Conversation snapped off like shutters. I ordered whiskey anyway. A ranch hand spoke up, loud enough for the rafters. That's the man they whispered last night. Daniel Kane. Brought it down on us. I turned. Slow. You hear it too? The man's lips went dry. Maybe. Then it wasn't just me, I said. So who's lying? You? Or your fear? He didn't answer. No one did. They just watched me finish the glass and set it down empty. Later, Evelyn found me near the livery. Her veil was up now, and the sun lit her face bare. She looked younger, older, both. You shouldn't challenge them, she said. I'm not here to play mouse, I said. They'll make you one anyway, she answered. The whispers don't like men who stand tall. Then maybe I should bend. She looked at me hard. Don't joke about survival. It costs too much here. A shout cracked down the street. We turned. A boy no older than 12 stumbled out of the church. Eyes wide. Voice breaking. They called me, he cried. I heard my name. They said I'd choke on dust before sundown. His mother dragged him inside, but the damage had been done. The crowd buzzed, fear swelling like a tide. Evelyn's hand found mine, unthinking. This is how it begins. One voice, then a town. What do they want? I asked. She shook her head. Sometimes land, sometimes gold, sometimes just to see us fall apart. They'll use whatever mouth they need. I didn't believe in ghosts. I still don't. But as we stood in the heat of that broken street, I felt something watching that wasn't sky, wasn't man, wasn't anything I could draw breath from. That night, I kept the lamp burning. Evelyn brought whiskey to my door, her veil gone, her eyes shadowed by something stronger than lace. She sat on the edge of the bed, close enough for me to smell the desert on her hair. They'll come again, she whispered. Then let them. Her fingers touched mine. Light as ash. You'll regret saying that. The floor creaked. We both froze. The lamp guttered, then steadied. A voice, not hers, not mine, curled from the corner where no one stood. Daniel, leave her. Evelyn clutched my hand. Don't answer, she breathed. The voice laughed, low and thin. Then it spoke her name. Evelyn Vega, widow, curse. Yours ends tonight. She shuddered. It's stronger. It knows you're here. I drew my Colt, though bullets can't kill air. Let it come. The window rattled, though the night was still. The door groaned like a hinge, remembering pain. Then, sudden, the whisper shifted, and it wasn't Evelyn's name or mine. It was Lyle's. Mr. Lyle, the voice hissed. We know you. We'll drag you too. I glanced at Evelyn. Her eyes widened. They've never turned on him before, she whispered. The lamp flared bright, then blew out. In the dark, a lantern outside sparked. Once, twice. The same as before, only closer. The whisper came again, harder. Lyle. Now, Evelyn gripped my arm, voice shaking. If they've turned on him, it means something worse than us is coming. The night outside pulsed with voices I couldn't count, all saying his name all at once, until the sound was a tide crashing against the windows. And for the first time, I wondered if Midnight Crossing belonged to the living at all. By dawn, the whole town buzzed with one name, and it wasn't mine. Lyle. They whispered at the well. Lyle. They muttered in the saloon. Lyle. Even the children hissed, though they didn't know why. It spread like fever, faster than whiskey, faster than prayer. Midnight Crossing had found a new curse, and for once it wasn't Evelyn Vega. Lyle stormed into the square with his polished boots and cane, shouting that it was nonsense, that only fools listened to the wind. But his eyes betrayed him. They darted to every shadow, every doorway, like he feared the dark might suddenly speak again. I leaned against the rail outside the boarding house, watching. Evelyn stood near me, veil lowered, her presence like a scarlet flag in a town that pretended not to look at her. They've turned, she said softly. Not on us for now. On him. Doesn't feel like relief, I muttered. Because it isn't, she said. When whispers change their tune, it means the song isn't finished. It's only beginning. The crowd thickened. Men demanded answers. Women crossed themselves. A preacher raised a Bible and shouted about sins crawling from graves. And through it all, the whispers never spoke my name, or Evelyn's, only Lyle's, again and again, until the sound felt stitched into the air. Finally, someone threw a stone. It struck his cane, splitting the wood. The mob roared, "Hang him!" A voice cried, "If the whispers want Lyle, let's give him." I pushed off the rail. That's not justice. The crowd turned on me, eyes sharp, voices sharper. "You brought this, Kane. You stayed when you should have gone." Lyle's face was slick with sweat. He pointed at Evelyn, his voice breaking. "It's her. She poisoned the town, not me. She lured him here to spread it." The mob shifted, torn between two fears. Some eyes slid to Evelyn. Others stayed locked on him. Evelyn didn't flinch. She lifted her veil. Her face was pale, but her voice was iron. "I've carried your sins long enough, Marcus Lyle. You fed my husband lies, then had him shot when he learned the truth. You blamed me, because it was easier than burying your own guilt. The whispers know your name because you earned it." The gasp that followed cut the square in half. Lyle's hands shook. He drew a pistol from beneath his coat, aiming it straight at her. "Enough," he snarled. "I built this town. I fed it, clothed it, kept it alive. And if it takes one witch's blood to silence the dark, then so be it." I stepped between them, Colt drawn. "You'll have to kill me first." The mob surged, caught between horror and hunger for violence. "Stand aside, Kane." Lyle spat. "Not today," I said. The whispers rose, louder, circling the square like a storm. Lyle's name echoed from every wall, every mouth not moving, every breath not taken. His hand shook, the pistol weaving. Suddenly, a crack of gunfire split the air, but it wasn't mine. Evelyn had fired a derringer hidden in her sleeve. The shot tore through Lyle's hand, his pistol clattering to the dirt. He screamed, clutching his wrist, blood painting the dust. The crowd erupted. Some cheered, some cursed, some ran. Lyle fell to his knees, eyes wild. "They'll kill me," he cried. "You've doomed me." The whispers answered, colder than death. "Yes." The townsfolk scattered like leaves. Evelyn dropped the empty derringer, her chest heaving. I caught her arm. "You didn't have to," I said. "He would have killed me." She whispered, "Maybe he still will," I muttered, looking at the blood soaking his glove. We dragged him into the jail. Wallace barred the door, though the lock felt like a child's toy against the voices pressing at the windows. Lyle raved, pacing the cell. "They'll take me tonight. You'll see. They don't stop. They never stop. You think you've known fear, Sheriff? Wait until it speaks with your father's tongue, your brother's laugh. Wait until it tells you the things you already know but can't forgive." His eyes fixed on Evelyn. "And you? You think he'll save you? He'll hear his own name soon enough, and then he'll leave you like the rest." Evelyn trembled, but her chin rose. "If the whispers take me, at least they'll know I fought." I couldn't tell if she meant for me to hear or for herself. That night, the town emptied. Doors barred, lamps dark. Every man and woman pretending sleep while their hearts hammered awake. Only the jail held light. Only the jail held voices. They came with the wind, at first soft, then rising. Lyle's name, over and over. Louder, closer. He screamed, covering his ears, but nothing stopped it. "Make it stop," he begged. "Sheriff, kill me. Better your bullet than their mouths." Evelyn pressed against the bars, her face pale in the lamplight. "Daniel, if they take him, it won't end. It will spread. They'll want another. They'll want you." The whispers surged, shaking the glass, rattling the walls. My own name slid through the noise, faint but there. "Daniel." I froze. Evelyn grabbed my hand, desperate. "Don't listen. They'll use your dead against you. But the voice that spoke wasn't a stranger's. It was the one I'd heard in the wash. My brother's voice. The one I buried years ago. Danny, run, or I'll bury her too. The lantern flickered, then blew out. The cell door shuddered. Lyle shrieked. Evelyn clutched me, her breath hot against my ear. Daniel, she whispered, choose him or me. The darkness answered with laughter that was not mine, not hers, not Lyle's. And I knew the night wasn't going to let me walk away clean. The lantern flared back to life. Weak, but enough to show Lyle huddled in the corner of the cell, his cane forgotten, his face gray as dust. Evelyn's grip on me was iron, her eyes wide, daring me to choose though she feared the answer. The whispers filled the jailhouse, louder than wind, sharper than steel. They spoke Lyle's name, my name, Evelyn's name, all tangled together like ropes pulling us in different directions. End it! Lyle screamed, his voice raw. Shoot me before they take me. I leveled my Colt, but my hand trembled. Not from fear of killing, but from knowing it wouldn't stop what hunted him. The whispers changed. They laughed. They called me again. Daniel Kane. Danny. Do what you failed before. Save her. Evelyn's eyes locked on mine. Don't listen. They want you to spill blood. That's how they bind you. The air pressed heavy. A weight that crushed thought. I felt the dark leaning in, waiting for me to act. Then Evelyn pulled me close, her lips near my ear. If you choose him, you lose me. If you choose me, maybe we both live. The door rattled hard, the bars groaning. Lyle shrieked, pounding the walls. They'll tear me apart. Do something, Sheriff. I made my choice. I lowered the gun. Number. Lyle's scream split the night as the whispers surged. The air twisted. A shadow darker than shadow poured through the bars, swallowing him. His body jerked, then stilled. The cell fell silent, except for the echo of his name fading into nothing. The whispers stopped, just like that. Evelyn's breath shook. It's over? I holstered the Colt. For him. The town woke to ashes and silence. Word spread fast, Marcus Lyle. Gone without a trace. Devoured by the very voices he once controlled. Men crossed themselves. Women wept. Children stayed indoors. And no one spoke Evelyn's name that day, but they spoke mine. Daniel Kane, the sheriff who didn't run. Daniel Kane, the fool who stood with the widow. By evening, some looked at me like savior. Others, like curse. Evelyn walked beside me, her black lace veil drifting in the wind. They'll never forgive us, she said. They don't have to, I answered. We're leaving. She stopped. And if the whispers follow, then they follow, I said. But they'll find I don't scare easy. Her lips curved, half smile, half sorrow. That's what I'm afraid of. We saddled up at dusk. The town watched from behind shutters, whispers of their own filling the streets where the ghosts had gone quiet. Evelyn mounted behind me, her arms slipping around my waist, her face pressed against my shoulder. We rode out of Midnight Crossing. The desert opened before us, vast and unforgiving. Behind us, the town shrank into rumor. Ahead, only more horizon. As night fell, the wind stirred. For a moment, I thought I heard my name again, soft and thin. But when I glanced back, Evelyn's lips were near my ear. It's just me, she whispered, and I believed her. Because sometimes the deadliest haunt isn't a graveyard or a curse or a voice in the dark. Sometimes it's the woman who makes you stay when every instinct says run. Thank you for listening until the very end of this tale. If this story of whispers, love, and danger in the Wild West kept you on the edge of your seat, do me a favor, Leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. And if you don't want to miss the next untold story of love, betrayal, and survival, make sure you subscribe to Western Romance Stories. Until then, stay strong, stay hopeful, and I'll meet you in the next story of the frontier.